Hi, it's Alaska Granny. Today I wanted to talk about how do we decide who are we prepping for? We know we first need to decide what are we actually prepping for? What are the emergencies that could happen in the area where you live? All emergencies don't happen everywhere. For example, do you live in an area that has hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, winter snowstorms? Some areas are even prone to flooding, wildfires. You need to assess the actual threats in the area where you live and make sure that you are specifically prepping for those type of events. There are other emergencies that might be on our radar, such as civil unrest or political upheaval, and just the prices of everything going up and supply chain issues. We need to also remember to focus in on threats in the area where we live. If you've recently relocated and moved to a new area of the country that's different from where you were, find out what are the threats where you're living now. For example, years ago, a family moved from one of the southern states and moved to live near me, and then suddenly here it is October and it's snowing and the children don't have boots, gloves, hats, coats, and I tried to explain to the family these are things you need to provide for your children if you're going to live in this kind of a climate. And the parents were very angry about, we don't want to have to buy those things. We don't think we should have to spend money on that. And it wasn't even a matter of they didn't have the money for it because they had one of those big satellite dishes for TV. They had enough money for cigarettes and beer, but somehow they didn't think that they needed to provide warm clothing for their children. That flabbergasted me for a long, long time. I've had workers come to my property and when it's, say, snowing and they're just wearing tennis shoes. How are you going to work outside and help me with something if you're not dressed properly and you're a full-grown adult? I've also had a few people that came to do, say, weed eating and branch trimming and help around in the property, and they weren't prepared as I thought they should be. So something I do is keep extra pairs of inexpensive work gloves and safety glasses. I want to make sure people are safe and comfortable who are helping me. And just because you don't think ahead to take care of yourself doesn't mean that I can't provide a few things. So sometimes we need to look at what is specific to our life and how we can help people that maybe we want to be involved with. Usually when we're thinking about prepping and who we're prepping for, we're thinking about our family and maybe some of our friends. We want to make sure that we're providing for our family, our immediate family, to have enough water, to have enough food, to have some first aid supplies, and to build up a stockpile of things that we might need. And so then we need to start thinking, okay, I have it for myself, I have it for my immediate family. Who else am I willing to help a little bit? Who would I want to make sure that I had extra food for them? What if your grandma comes over? Are you willing to house her, help her, give her some food? What if your neighbors? Would you be willing to help them? And that's where you need to think ahead, plan ahead, think about the scenarios. Who might come to you and need some help, and who are you willing to help, and what are you willing to do to help them? Maybe you want to set aside a few little jars of rice and beans. Maybe you want to set aside a few dollars, maybe just a few odds and ends of things that you would be willing to donate, give, or help others to make sure that they have what they need for just the basics. That doesn't mean people can say, oh, well, you're a prepper, and so if something goes wrong, I'm coming to your house and SHTF. No. That's not going to be okay. But there are likely scenarios that there are people we're willing to help because everybody needs a little hand up every now and then. So plan ahead. What can you do to help others? What are you willing to do? And then set some of those things aside. But also be prepared mentally for how you can turn people down if they ask you for things that you're not willing to do or give. And remember, no is a complete sentence. Look over the people that are in your family. Do you have babies? Have you prepared for the baby? Do you have diapers, wipes, the formula or food or supplements, all of the necessities that a baby might need? Make sure that you are preparing to take care of your babies or your small children, whatever their needs are. Do you have elderly family members that maybe take A medication, maybe they have hearing aids. You need to stock up on some extra batteries. Perhaps they have mobility issues. You could even keep an extra cane in your car or something like that. Think about, what does your family member need? How can you help them? And then please be checking on your elderly family members, especially if they're living alone. Does anyone in your family have food allergies? Have you thought about how to provide the foods that they can eat? And I'm not talking about, I don't like that, I don't want to eat that, because guess what? A lot of times we have to make unpleasant decisions, and that includes keeping our bodies nourished with food that isn't necessarily our favorite. But if people have actual food allergies and sensitivities, we want to be prepared to meet their needs. Now, of course, we want to stock up on foods that we like, but if you have super picky eaters, that can be complicated. And don't try to stockpile special foods for a delicate eater. Try to encourage your family members to broaden their horizons and try new foods. And I know it can be complicated because I've been through that, but it's still a matter of, we're not going to just have one special cabinet that's just for you. This is going to be for our family, and we share. What if you have school-age children, teenagers? Perhaps they set off for the day, and is this their footwear of choice? What are they going to do if it starts raining or snowing, or the car breaks down and you have to walk, or you need to bug out? Make sure that this isn't the only footwear that your family members have. Keep an extra pair of actual shoes in the car for each person, so that if something happens and you need to start walking, you can. This isn't going to be appropriate, but I'm sure you've seen people that head out and that's all they have. And now if you even have to walk 2 blocks, you can't do it a lot of times. So be prepared. Make sure that you plan ahead to have proper clothing, including footwear. Another challenge with a lot of family members might be they're addicted to their electronics. Perhaps you want to get something like a battery bank. I bought this one for a recent trip I took to Asia, and it charges all up this battery bank, and then it has all of these attached cords with all different kinds of ends, and they're all attached so they're not going to get lost. So I could charge this up, and then whatever device I wanted to use, one of these is going to fit. And that was very handy, because when you're traveling overseas, a lot of times the outlets don't fit the American outlets, and so you can't necessarily charge up your items. Even if you bring the adapters, what if you're, say, in the airport and you're waiting and you have several hours? You can still then keep going and use your electronics, or if you get on a long airplane flight, you can recharge your electronics and you can keep watching, say, a movie or something if you need to. In an emergency, if the power goes out, you may want to still have a way to power your devices. So think about what kind of ways could you do that if you needed to. Did your child ever come home from school with a note that said your kid needs more glue, crayons, colored pencils, markers? That's how it works. So when you're stocking up at the beginning of the school year, when school supplies are super cheap, grab a few extra, keep them in a box or on a shelf or in a drawer. Then you have those supplies to do homework. You also, then if your kid needs something for school, you're going to have some extras. You can pick them up for less than $1, but if you wait until, say, a cold winter night in February and you have to go out and find them, they may be $5 or $6 if they're even still in stock. So plan ahead, for your children are going to need some school supplies. Birthday party invitations, you can plan ahead for that too. When you're out and you're shopping and you see a cool toy and it's on clearance, pick up 1 or 2. Keep it on your gift shelf. That's what I always did when my kids were little. I had a few things put aside, then if they had a last minute party invitation, you had a gift. But those were set aside for gifts. You can't take those for yourself. That's set aside in case we need something in a short-term emergency. Remember, prepping doesn't have to be for SHTF. It doesn't have to mean a nuclear bomb has fallen. It's keeping your family going on a day-to-day basis. We want to have every day of our life run as smoothly as possible. So if we think about what are the threats that we are facing, what's most likely to happen that can interfere with our schedule, our routine, and our keep going forward mentality, and if we have some of those things, we think about who we are preparing for, how can we help keep our family running smoothly, and who else are we willing to help, and what are we willing to do. Leave it in the comments below if you have any suggestions on who are you prepping for, what are you willing to do, and are there any supplies that you think we should add into our stockpile and new ways of thinking so that we can be prepared no matter what the future brings. I hope you'll like my video, share it with someone else you think might enjoy it. Please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.